So our aim for this cake is that it will be moist and very yummy, considering the ingredients we are going to use. A lot of times there are people who add raisins into the cake, but this one is just going to comprise of pineapple as a fruit, and the nuts will be walnut, although I did add some pecans just to get the grammage to where I wanted it to be. The other substitution I'm making is that I'm using self-raising flour, but I added about half a teaspoon of baking soda just for the aeration. With the self-raising, the baking soda and baking powder is added or incorporated to give you the kind of rice that you expect from that kind of flour, but I want extra aeration, and that is why I had to add. It calls for cake flour, but you know me. So you're hoping for a good outcome. All right, so friends, the thing that is so clever about this cake is the addition of oil into the dry ingredients. This is so important because the oil coats the flour and then shortens it. Okay, you remember what we talked about, the gluten strands. This addition of oil into the flour shortens that gluten. Okay, so that gives you a very crumbly cake, and I thought this is so clever for the originator of this recipe. They must have tried it so many times to get this, and I think it's just something either from those old grannies who really loved baking, or a science lab, a food science lab. Okay, so I'm using a recipe from school, and when I saw the amount of oil, I was of course doubtful. I asked a lot of questions, but then it is just right. Okay, so the moisture is, we are getting the moisture from both the oil and the liquid ingredients, but for now we mix this first. Okay, so do not doubt this process, trust it. So we are mixing that and beating it until it's light and fluffy before we go ahead to add our eggs and carrots and the fruit. Now when you're adding the wet ingredients, which even the fruit now is considered wet, we won't be adding a different liquid because this already has done the job. Okay, so we're just adding this for more aeration, for incorporation of the fruit and the nuts. Okay, so it's a bit different, but so good. So boom, you can see how much color those carrots add, and we want all that juice to be incorporated in the cake. In addition to that oil, you can see how you're going to get a very moist cake. And the dry ingredients we use will be the coconut and also the nuts, the other nuts, which is walnut, and just about 100 grams of the pecans, because we needed a lot of nuts, more nuts than I had, and the pineapple. So although we drained the juice from the pineapple, we did not squeeze it. Okay, because we want that moisture, lots of light moisture. Okay, so then we're going to just combo this together like that, not for too long, yeah, because we got the fluffiness from the oil mixing with the sugar and the flour. That gave us that creaminess, the creaminess and the fluffiness. Now this is a beautiful carrot cake mixture. If I was to do something different, it would be to add more cinnamon, but I was halving everything from my recipe, and I think I should have kept the cinnamon the same amount as the original, because I like more spice in my cake. Something else you can add is nutmeg, just for variety of spices. This would be also a good recipe to add mixed spices, but I just decided to just be more experimental and just add, or less experimental, and just add cinnamon, and the vanilla. Okay, and now I'm just attempting to add equal amounts of the butter into my tins. These are 6x4 tins, and I'm adding about 2 heaped cups of the butter. Yeah, so I want sufficient room for rising, although I don't expect this to rise much. Why? Because we coated our flour with the oil, so that hinders the rising a bit, but the cake still will not be dense. It will be airy, as if we're using the reverse method. Do you know the reverse method, where you add butter into the flour just to shorten it as you begin, so that becomes like your first process? Yeah, so you coat the flour to shorten. Very important, because the cake becomes airy but it doesn't rise as much because you don't fluff up the sugar and butter. Okay, so that is a lesson for another day, but today I wanted to get cupcakes as well as the cake 3-layer off from this batter. We got 6 more jumbo size cupcakes, so the more the merrier. So yeah, make sure you just have the fruits and the nuts distributed well. Is so important. Okay, and this also allowed me to know just how much yield I would have, so that the next time I'm baking I can actually make less or more depending on my needs. So at 375 degrees oven, I'm going to add this. I'm just going to add, I think, 2 of these small tins, and then the rest I'll bake from the tiny convectional oven. You already know it helps to see the different outcome. Hey guys, so the cakes are cooled now, and we are going to frost using cream cheese. Carrot cake and red velvet are so good with cream cheese, and so I'm going to use cream cheese and whipping cream and powdered sugar, as well as vanilla for the flavor. There are various ways of making the cream cheese frosting, some with butter, some with whipping cream, and I'm just going with whipping cream because it's much more flavorful. So let's make the cream cheese and then we'll do our frosting. So guys, I'm using more cream cheese. So you can use just the 2, but I'm using 3 packets. Comes to 24 ounces, and I'm adding that fast and just mixing it. It's a bit warmer, not room temperature yet, but I had it sit outside the fridge for a while, and then I added the whipping cream to whip together, and this will give us a firmer consistency. It's like using whipping cream with mascarpone when you're making a tiramisu. So you expect a firm texture that gathers very fast, so you have to be careful about that. And then we added the sugar just before the whipping cream. Important, but it's not the end of the world if you just mix all together. It's just sometimes when you're working with cream cheese, you want to whip it fast so that it gets softer, because it can be lumpy if you're not careful. So look at this texture, and you can see the nuts and the carrots through, some of the pineapple too. So this combo is just amazing, and as you can see, it's a bit oily, and the top layer doesn't, the eggs don't rise to the surface because as much as other cakes. So I don't usually remove the top layer, but you can, just to level out your cake. But I want every inch of these cakes. So I'm going to start frosting.
햇살이 너무 좋았어. 그냥 모두 좋았어. 널 만나서 모든 게 다 잠에서 깨어나서 휴대폰을 먼저 보게 돼. 참 많이 변했다네가. 세상에서 제일 행복한 순간 널 만나고 매일 겪게 돼. 매일
thing is, we are not going to do much with this cake. I'm not going to do too many layers. I want it semi-naked, and this is because I've put so much cream cheese inside, because I wanted it to be the one that's leveling the layers. As you could see, they were not even. So there's so much in there, no need to give people too much, but actually everybody loved the cream cheese frosting. They wanted more, but this is just fine, because too much of anything is just, too bad for your health. So anyway, I'm just finishing this, and I added edible flowers. And here I'm doing the cupcakes, just a very easy design. And then I'll also add edible flowers as topping, just to make them look a bit more attractive. And yeah, this was it. These are so delicious. I hope you will try and just share with your family and friends. This is a good treat, and this you package like that, it's just perfect for a giveaway or even for sale. Yeah. All right, so I'll see you on the next one, guys.